Hey friend, Colin here from Sumthins Recording, and today I'm going to show you how to mix bass guitar for powerful and punchy low end. Let me start, of course, by playing you the bass guitar inside the finished mix here, and then I'm going to solo it up so you can hear what our finished bass mix sounds like isolated from the mix. So here's the finished mix for this song.
I'm still standing, better than I ever did. Looking like a true survivor, feeling like a little kid. I'm still standing after all this time, picking up the pieces of my life without you on my mind. I'm still
You can hear how mean and aggressive the bass sounds like by itself, but when we throw it back in the mix, you don't hear all that extra distortion, all that extra aggression that we've added to the bass to get it to cut through and to get it to be punchy and powerful inside the mix. So let me break down what we're doing here on this bass guitar. And let me take everything off so you can hear just the raw bass guitar. Here's just the raw recorded bass guitar. So you can hear it's got some punch baked into the performance, and that's going to be helpful as we try and emphasize energy on the bass guitar. But this is going to work even if you don't have some punch or some slap baked into your bass guitar performance. Obviously, this is a slap bass performance, but we're still going to get some extra power and some extra punch out of it. I do have the frequency split trick going on here. So on the DI, I'm using just the bottom end here, so isolating the low end, everything below 180 hertz. That's a 24 dB per octave slope. And then on the amp track, I'm using the opposite, so everything above 180 hertz here. Same thing, 24 dB per octave slope. Both of those are feeding into the bass bus here, and then I do have a distortion track, which we'll get to in just a second here. The first thing I'm doing here is I'm getting rid of any information I don't need or that I don't want to come up as we emphasize areas on the bass guitar. So that means excess bottom end and then this kind of low mid area. This kind of 200 hertz area around like 150 to 250 can be kind of the headache frequency on bass guitar, and sometimes it's the octave of where we end up boosting. So we want to cut a little bit in that area so it doesn't build up and we don't get that kind of woo, that headache frequency. So first thing we're doing here is we're cleaning up the bottom end. I like to roll everything off below about 70 hertz because for me, around 80 hertz is that fundamental I like to emphasize on the bass guitar so it locks in with the kick drum. So take a listen here without the high pass and then with. You can hear it feels like we thin out the bass guitar a little bit, but in reality, we're evening out the bottom end. So when he slides down to the lower notes, it's not really overtaking and jumping out volume-wise. We kind of even out the bottom end here. So when we start boosting it, it's going to be even and it's going to be consistent. Now we're going to take out about 5 dB here at 182 hertz and get rid of all this buildup, this muddiness here in the low-mid area. You can hear how that actually cleans up our bass guitar, and it feels like it emphasizes more of the top end aggression and energy that we have on the bass guitar just by pulling out some of this buildup here around 180 hertz. And this 180, 200 hertz area is usually where we're going to get energy in the bottom end for like guitars and keys and stuff like that. So we want to make a little bit of room there and kind of shift the energy on the bass guitar down towards the fundamental here. Before we do these top end boosts, I do want to throw my compressor in place here. I like using this 1176, and I've really been digging pushing it really hard these days, especially on something like this where we want it to be aggressive and cut through in the mix and give a lot of punch and attack. Pushing really hard into like a FET style compressor like this can be really, really helpful to get some extra energy out of your bass. And you can see it's kind of a dynamic performance. So this is going to help even out the dynamics as well as give us some extra energy. So without and then with. You can hear it emphasizes that front end attack in a really, really nice way by clamping down on it like this. I've got the attack set at about 0.55 milliseconds there. Releases all the way fast at 50 milliseconds. And as we kick this on, we're doing about 7 to 10 dB reduction. So kind of treating it like a vocal here as we push into the 1176 style compressor. And it emphasizes that front end transient in a really nice way that adds a ton of punch here to our bass guitar. So that's going to help it stick out and cut through and be aggressive in the track here. Now we're going to come back to the first EQ and we're going to push some top end into that compressor. So we're going to add a little bit here at about 700, 702, and we're going to do about 5 dB, so 4.8 dB. This is going to give us some mid-range bite, and it's going to help it slot really, really nicely with the guitars and the keys in this track here. So take a listen without, and then I'll kick this boost in. Now on something like this, I boosted a ton of 4K here, almost 17 dB at 4K. I'm usually boosting in this 4K area to get some string noise to help you discern the notes that the bass player is playing, but on a slap bass like this, I want you to know that it's a slap bass when you're listening. So I want to bring out a ton of that string noise, a ton of that slap noise, so we hear it inside the track and you get that energy, you get that attack from it. So boosting in this 4K area is going to give us that string noise, that fret noise that helps you discern the notes, and it gets you some extra top end attack as well, so you can hear your bass inside the track, even if you're not listening on something that has a ton of bottom end to it. Now moving on here, after our normal compressor, I like to pull in a multiband and really target the bottom end. On something like this, where it's a slap bass performance, it's really, really crucial that we clamp down on the bottom end. But on normal bass guitars as well, I like to do this to even out the bottom end. I don't go as aggressive, but I still pull in this multiband, looking at everything below 180 hertz. So it's kind of like we're just looking at that DI. You could always put just a regular compressor on the DI and kind of get the same kind of effect. I like doing it right here in the chain and then boosting bottom end after it. So we're just looking at everything below 180 hertz here. 20-to-1 ratio, fastest attack, fastest release, and we're just going to clamp down on that bottom end. So here's without it, and then I'll click it in. Watch the meter over here. You can see how much reduction we're doing. So we're really using this to hold our bottom end in place. So it's going to sit in one spot, and as we pull in our last EQ here, we can boost that bottom end. So our bottom end is even, it's consistent, and now we can bring up and emphasize this 80 hertz area to bring up that fundamental. That's that kind of hit you in the chest feeling. That's where we're going to get this punch and the power here on the bass guitar. I've also got a little bit of a high pass down at 20, so not doing a lot, but making sure this big boost here. It's at 1 on the Q, so it's normally wide here, not too wide, but we're reaching down towards almost like 30, 40 hertz here. So I don't want to bring up too much of that super sub area. And then I do have a little boost here at 300 as well. But take a listen here. I'll A-B this EQ. Listen to the power and the punch we bring up now that we've evened out our bass guitar here. You can hear this big boost in the bottom end keeps our low end really, really up front here. So no matter where he's moving, no matter where he's slapping, because we have human inconsistencies, right, of playing. He's not always slapping at the same volume. He's not always playing at the same volume. But the multiband and then this bottom end boost keeps our low end in one spot. So it always feels powerful and it always feels punchy here. So let's throw this in the track here. And then one last thing, we're going to A-B our distortion track. I'll show you what's going on there.
I'm still standing, better than I ever did. Looking like a true survivor, feeling like a little kid. I'm still standing, after all this time, picking up the pieces of my life without you on my mind. I'm still standing.
So we've got our low end powerful, we've got our bass feeling powerful, it's even, it's sitting right where we want it, it's much more consistent, but I still want to add a little bit of extra punch here and get it to cut through the mix just a bit better. That's where I'm pulling in this distortion track here. All this is it's the amp track duplicated here, so we're rolling off everything below 180 hertz, but then I'm distorting it all the way on the hard tube setting. Second stage here, I've got the drive cranked all the way, and then the output's pulled all the way down because of all that extra drive. So listen to what this sounds like. It's really, really mean sounding, and it's really, really nasty sounding. So it's all the way down at like -15 here, and then we blend it in with our DI, with our amp, our clean signal here, and it's going to emphasize that top end, emphasize that aggression in a really nice way, in an even way, because it's pinned in the distortion here. So it's just something we can pull up in the mix. And this is usually something I do at the end of the mix. So I get my bass mix normal, and I have this channel here that as I add more instruments, guitars, keys, vocals, what have you, I can slide this up to get more top end and get more punch out of the bass guitar so it cuts through in the mix. So here's the bass by itself, and then I'll throw it in the mix. You can hear how that aggression gets absorbed by all our other tracks. Getting our bass to feel powerful and punchy in the mix here, just a few things, a little bit of EQ here, rolling off anything that's too aggressive, anything that's popping out in the track, adding a touch of mids, a ton of top end to get that bite on the bass guitar so it feels punchy, it feels aggressive. Lots of compression here with this 1176, so really holding our bass guitar in place, adding some extra attack, emphasizing that front end punch, helping it feel punchy in the track here. And then our multiband to pin the bottom end. This is where we're getting that power. So we're getting our bottom end even before we're boosting it at the end of the chain to bring up that power. And the last little bit of energy that we're adding here is the distortion track to get some extra punch and to help our bass cut through in the mix. I hope that was helpful for you. If you are looking to go a little bit deeper into the mixing process in its entirety and really start to hone your workflow as an audio engineer, then I have just the tool for you, and it is completely free. It is my 7-step mixing checklist, and it's just a simple PDF guide that will walk you through the entire mixing process step by step to help you get professional and radio-ready mixes without any more of the guesswork. Completely free for you to download, and you can get access to that by clicking the link below in the video description. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.